6 days until Election Day. Today, we go through the road to 270 for the final time before the election. This is the Sean Spicer Show. We got a lot to get into. Let's get into it. All right, guys, good Wednesday to you. The last Wednesday before the Tuesday election day, 6 days to go. I'm so excited, so fired up. We got a big election night headed your way, by the way. So hit that notification button and subscribe right now because we're going all night. I mean, we'll do the show and then we're going live. We've got special guests. It's just, trust me when I say this, you're going to want to hit that subscription button. Watch us live all night long. Insights that you're not going to get anywhere else. So join us election night for a multi-hour live thing. We'll be here well into midnight, maybe longer, who knows. I've got an announcement to make to you. Friday, we have a special guest. A special, very, very special guest. He will be joining us on Friday. So you want to tune in Friday. We're going to have a great show tomorrow, as we always do, a great panel discussion. But trust me, on Friday, you are going to want to see this interview. We've got a great 270 show coming for the last time. You're going to want to hear the updates. Anyway, Kamala was on the ellipse, and then Biden, man, he stepped in it. So I got a lot to get to. Before I do that, I've talked to you before about wellness and healthy living is something that I've really started to. I'm not perfect, but I've gotten into it because I realize how many things that we're doing in our environment that are not helping us that we can correct. One of the things that I realized is that I was taking a probiotic because I thought, oh, that's healthy, right? I added it to my regimen. And then I realized after Tina Anderson came on from Just Thrive, it's like, okay, I'm taking a probiotic, but it's not helping us. And she was telling me about their product, the Just Thrive probiotics. And if you have an unhealthy gut, which is like 70 to 80% of us, again, I didn't even know this several months ago, but apparently this is massive, 70 to 80% people deal with this, then you need to be doing things like taking a probiotic. They have another product called Just Calm that's amazing as well, because most probiotics don't make it through the stomach to the intestine. I don't even know what either of those are, but I know that they're not working. Tina's product at Just Thrive actually has got more research. It helps you do this. And having a healthy gut isn't just about your gut, right? Indigestion and bloating and all that kind of stuff. It's about sleeping. It's about skin. It's about your mood. So much is affected by this. So I'm just telling you, do something that actually makes change. And taking a probiotic to me is like one of the easiest things in the world. This stuff, it has more survivability. It's 1,000 times better survivability than most of these products on the market. So if you are interested in doing stuff for your health as I was, take the Just Calm and the Just Thrive probiotic. And for a limited time, you can try the Just Thrive probiotic or the Just Calm and save 20%. If you go to justthrivehealth.com and use promo code Spicer, justthrivehealth.com, Spicer. And if you're wondering, go back, watch the episodes with Tina Anderson to really get a further understanding of the wellness stuff that's affecting us, but you're not going to regret this. All right. Last night, Kamala on the ellipse. If you didn't miss it, you didn't miss anything. She literally just stitched together a bunch of talking points that she's always given. Yeah, it was a beautiful backdrop. And by the way, literally you can see the White House, and I'm thinking, there's a guy that's there right now that's the current president that you would think would walk down and say, hey, I want to show my support with him. Nope, they didn't want anything to do with him. And you know why? Because he was out there doing an interview before this. Here's what he said.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The only garbage I see is his supporters. Full stop. That's what he said. Now, they're out there saying that's not what he meant. That's not what blah, blah, blah. I mean, give me, what is this? A comedian makes a bad joke 4 hours before Trump speaks, and for 72 hours, every Republican has to account for this? And yet, the president of the United States, the current president, says every Trump supporter is garbage, and they go, no, he just meant the comedian. Give me a break. You know he didn't mean that. Cut it out. He goes on, by the way, Tim Walz got screwed because he happened to be the guy that was scheduled to do interviews on ABC. And I'm going to show you what he did on ABC in just a second. It is unbelievable because everyone goes, oh, look at how Tim Walz answered it. He got a softball question. They didn't say, will you apologize? Will you atone for your sins like they did to every Trump supporter? The unbelievable media bias that exists is so unreal. And when you hear the way that George Stephanopoulos framed this question, everyone's like, how did Waltz answer it? Well, no kidding. He didn't. He got handed a softball answer. It had nothing to do with this. Anyway, I'm going to go through the road to 270 in a second. We've got some early returns that are very helpful. Ashley Hayek has some great numbers from America First Work. They are out there knocking on doors, getting people who didn't vote in 2020 but have in 2020. The numbers are staggering. 26,000 people that America First Works has interacted with that didn't vote that now have. Georgia, 70,799. Anyway, great positive notes going on. I will caution you folks, there is a poll out there showing that women are disproportionately voting more than men. I hear a lot of women that are saying, hey, I'm voting for Trump. But I will tell you that there's a lot of the data dudes that are saying, hey, this might not be that great. So keep your foot on the pedal. We need to overwhelm this. Some brand new polls out this morning, by the way, showing the race continuing to move in Trump's direction. We'll get to this in the road to 270, but let me just read them to you quickly. Harris up 1 nationally, Wisconsin up 1, Eric Hovde up 1. Another one, again, Wisconsin, Trump up 1. Another showing that Harris up 2, but clearly it's an interesting thing. Pennsylvania, per Atlas Intel, up 3. Trump and her tied at 49. Another CBS poll that they're tied at 48. Trafalgar has him up 3 in North Carolina. In Nevada, Trump up 1. Again, very positive numbers. Trump up 1 in Michigan. Georgia, Trump up 3 per Atlas. And then Trump up 8 per Redfield and Wilton Strategies in Arizona. Kerry Lake up 1 there, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then Ted Cruz continues to do well in Texas per a UT Tyler poll. So again, a lot of positive move. We're going to get into this in the road to 270. All right. I want to tell you real quick, though, the one big thing why policies matter is because there's a difference in priorities. When Democrats were in charge, they hired a ton of new tax agents at the IRS, 50,000. These guys are out there looking for little discrepancies in your taxes. And August 15th was the new deadline. Like you could, if you got an extension, and if you haven't filed or if you have a red flag, I mean, you know what they tell you, like certain deductions are going to be a flag, right? If the IRS sees something and then they start going around looking for money, they're going to try to find something. You know that, right? It doesn't matter how squeaky clean you are. Like they're going to turn over things and you didn't do this, you didn't write this off the right way. If you get what they call a pay up notice because they think that you either owe them money or took a deduction that you shouldn't have or whatever, personal business, get professional help. I think the people who do this the best are the folks at Tax Network USA. And if you go to tnusa.com, full name, Sean Spicer, / so tnusa.com/Sean Spicer, you will love the conversation with them because these guys have recovered $1 billion for their clients. They know what they're doing. They've got the expertise and the record to help you. So if you get a call, a knock on the door, a letter from the IRS, don't think that you're better. Like they have all of the power of the federal government behind them. So go to tnusa.com/Sean Spicer. Take advantage of their expertise and their help. These guys know what they're doing. All right. Before I get to the road to 270, the new chairman of the House Freedom Caucus is Andy Harris from Maryland. I want to bring him in, get a quick update, what their priorities are for when President Trump wins. And then we will talk about the road to 270 and where we are. Let's get to Andy Harris, Congressman from Maryland, chairman of the Freedom Caucus. Congressman Harris, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be with you, Sean.
You know, just when you wonder what's going to happen next, Joe Biden steps in it, right? I felt like, I mean, let me just ask you this. How many times did you get asked about Trump's comedian comments in the last 72 hours? Just ballpark number.
Well, look, everybody's aware of it. You go around and people are asking these things, but
No, but I want to demonstrate something. How many times do you think people brought up to you the comments that a comedian made 4 hours before President Trump spoke?
Oh, they're all over. I mean, those comments were all over the liberal media. That's right.
And I doubt anybody's going to ask the folks on the left to have to account for what the president of the United States said. But I want to just play you real quick. Tim Walz he had a pre-scheduled interview, just so we're clear. This wasn't like they went out to do cleanup. It was already scheduled. He goes on Good Morning America, and I want to play for you what he was asked.
Republicans have seized on those remarks from President Biden yesterday, where they say he was calling Trump supporters garbage. He says he was talking about the comedian. What's your response to that? Did it step on the vice president's message?
Well, the president's clarified his remarks, but let's be very clear. The vice president and I have made it absolutely clear that we want everyone as a part of this. Donald Trump's divisive rhetoric is what needs to end. He called this a garbage country and continues on from the enemy within. What you heard Vice President Harris say and what I say is there's a place for all of us here. And I think that's the one. She's running for president. She's making the message. And she delivered that speech on the ellipse that showed what we can be as a country. So I think America knows the direction we're going. She's laid out a new way forward, and that's what we're going to do for the next 6 days and then the next 8 years after that.
It wasn't even Walz's answer. It was the question that Stephanopoulos asked. He basically said, does this step on her message? What do you mean? Like, no one gets asked that on our side. It's, are you going to apologize for what he said, right? They get asked a totally different set of questions than our side does.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And look, the White House had to play cleanup. They had to move apostrophes around,
But you're not. But just to be clear, when you've heard this, this isn't a grammar game. He said it, and I think he feels it. There's no question. Biden said he ran in 2016 because of Charlottesville, and he ran for re-election initially because of Trump. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like people who like him. So, I don't know why we're allowing them to get away with, the apostrophe got moved and he was referring to a supporter, not all supporters.
Look, you can't fool the American people. They know what their ears heard, just like the Trump ads you're watching now, which actually have Kamala Harris in the ads. I mean, she features prominently because all you have to do is play what she says, and everybody understands it. It's the same thing with this. We know exactly what he meant. He meant that his opinion of Trump supporters are that they're garbage. It's the deplorables all over, and people believe it because the deplorables broke that ground.
So you've taken over the Freedom Caucus in the House of Representatives. When President Trump gets in, give me a sense. I got to be honest, as a Republican, as a conservative, I'm outraged that the debt hasn't been a bigger issue, that our out of control spending hasn't been a bigger issue. And Congressman, there are so many layups. I get it. The big fruit is entitlement reform, whatever, but just defund NPR, make me feel good that and you in particular have led the way on making debt and deficit an issue. So when I saw you ascend to the chairmanship of the Freedom Caucus, I said, Andy Harris is a guy that is going to bring this issue back to prominence. So walk me through, when Trump wins, when you, convene the next Congress, what are your priorities going to be to work with him to address an issue like this?
So I think one of the biggest things that has happened in the last few days with this regard is, the ability of Elon Musk to, develop an efficiency commission. Mr. Paulson, who may be the Treasury Secretary, pointed out that there are hundreds of billions of dollars in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. That's really the Green New Deal that can be clawed back. I mean, there is a lot of money on the table, and we're going to push hard for the Inflation Reduction Act, for the ridiculous energy subsidies that are making energy more expensive in the United States vis-a-vis our overseas competitors. There are hundreds of billions of dollars to be clawed back. And I think that we have to look at efficiency. And it'll be great to have two business people, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who understand that if a company doesn't run efficiently, it goes bankrupt, it goes out of business. I think they understand that the same thing is true of the federal government. We're at a very precarious point. $36 trillion debt, $1.2 trillion interest payment per year. Look, it's going to take hard work to reverse it, but I think President Trump's going to have the people in place with the backup from the Freedom Caucus to say, yeah, we actually have to control the trajectory of federal spending and the deficit and the debt.
Okay, so here's my pitch to you. I agree with everything you said. You've got a track record of calling this stuff out. So go for it. Do all the stuff you did, but just start with. In my advice is start with the easy stuff and make Democrats defend it. Put PBS on the table, put NPR on the table, put some of these egregious spending. I think when it's the more amorphous it is, the harder it is to define, right? It's we're going to roll back, blah, blah. But if you can start to say, defend this program from 1916 that allows coin-based phone calls to go through or something like that's just so stupid. Democrats will defend spending and government bureaucracy every day of the week. Put them on defense and give specific examples. I always tell when Newt Gingrich was campaigning in 1994 for the contract with America, he brought around a bucket and said ICE gets delivered to every congressional office because that's the way it's always been done. It's costing $250,000, whatever it was. We're going to eliminate that. Now, $250,000 is going to eliminate the deficit, but it showed a respect for taxpayer funds. And I think just starting with illustrative examples and saying, we're going to cut this, we're going to cut this, we're going to cut this, and putting those things on like a calendar, like the suspension calendar on the floor to say, okay, Democrats, support some of this egregious spending and start the ball rolling with things that the American public can visualize and say, that doesn't make sense.
Look, that's a great idea. And if we achieve a majority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency, then we have the reconciliation method to do it. And one of the ideas we've come up in the Freedom Caucus is let's make the first reconciliation bill one that exactly like you say, let's dare the Democrats to vote against it. Let's put border control in it. Let's put the Inflation Reduction Act ridiculous subsidies to large foreign companies. In the case of offshore wind, that money's going to large foreign companies. And let's do some of the things like dial back or eliminate. Look, I've tried in committee to eliminate the funding for NPR and Corporation for Public Broadcasting. These are antiquities. I mean, they were put in place when there weren't radio stations. Now, my God, There must be thousands of radio stations. It's just an unnecessary. Look, if states want to do it, if foundation wants to fund them, that's fine, but not the American taxpayer anymore.
Exactly. I mean, that's my point. I don't have it's America. You want a left-leaning station, you want a right-leaning station, go fund it, do it. But why am I paying for left-leaning radio funding in states that have 1 million channels? Like, go do it yourself or get all your celebrity buddies to fund it. But this is the kind of stuff that I think we need to see some fight. Donald Trump got out of that huddle after being shot at and said, fight, fight, fight. I think the Freedom Caucus can lead the way in saying, all right, we'll fight, fight, fight when it comes to the deficit.
Yes, and that's exactly what we intend to do. And we are going to look everywhere in the U.S. government. And again, fortunately, I think that we're going to have help from some of the people in the Trump administration who understand. Look, anybody who's in finance understands you can't control a $36 trillion debt, $1.2 trillion in interest payments per year. That is not sustainable. It's not sustainable if it were a business. It's certainly not sustainable for the United States. And again, we finally may have people in positions of authority and power who will make that case to the American people. And it needs to be made to the American people. We just have to demonstrate to America how serious our spending problem is in Washington.
So when Donald Trump wins, because that's the mentality I have right now, I'm not cocky, I'm not overconfident, but if I believe it, it's going to happen. When Donald Trump wins, he calls you up and says, Congressman Andy Harris, you're chairman of the Freedom Caucus. I need 3 agenda items to kick off my administration with. What will the Freedom Caucus get behind me on? Go.
So the first one is control the border, secure the border, and if we can do it through reconciliation, that'd be great. The second one is we have to defund all the multi-trillion-dollar programs that Mr. Biden and Kamala Harris put in place. The third one is we have to reverse the woke DEI that pervades the government now, and we are wasting billions and billions of dollars on DEI. Things that eventually will probably get challenged in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will overturn them, and in the meanwhile, tens of billions of dollars have been wasted. But I think Americans understand that discrimination is wrong no matter which way it occurs. I think those are the 3 things he should talk about. He should talk about reining in the uncontrolled, the Inflation Reduction Act, perfect example. Hundreds of billions of dollars that are just making our energy more expensive, not less expensive. And again, control the border. It's a big issue. He ran on it. We can deliver that pretty quickly through a reconciliation bill. And again, challenge the Democrats. Look, there are Democrats now running on, we have to close down the border. Like, where have you been for the past 3.5 years? Tell you what, we'll give you a chance to vote on it in February or March of next year.
Yeah. Last question for you. Are you encouraged? Are there going to be people? I know you guys operate in like a way that you don't just let everyone join. You got to kind of be invited to the Freedom Caucus. Are there candidates that you have looked at on the House side and say, if so-and-so gets elected, we love their stances on issues, we want to bring them in? Like, is there 5, 10 members candidates that are running that you like?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's exactly that range you're talking about. Depends on how good a day we have next Tuesday. It'll be at least a half a dozen and could be as high as 12 if we have a good day.
I love hearing that. Congressman, thanks for everything that you guys in the Freedom Caucus are doing, and you're leading the way on it, which is, look, leadership matters right now throughout Washington. We need leaders that are willing to take bold stances to do bold things. And I loved hearing the news that you took over the Freedom Caucus, and I know you're going to do great things with Donald Trump. Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, guys, great conversation with Andy Harris. Now let's get to the road to 270. We're going to go through all the states like we did. Before I do that, you heard me the other day, right? I had a confession to make. I was jammed up trying to get some stuff done for the show. I got into bed, I put my head down, and I went, oh, I did not take my Beam Dream Powder. And I thought, okay, one night, who cares? I tossed, I turned, I finally fell asleep. I woke back up. I think it was like 2:17 a.m. And then I stared at a clock till 4 a.m., fell back asleep, and then got back up around 6, which is normal. I learned my lesson. So last night, I sat there, made my dream powder early, and then just waited to put it into the microwave. This is the cocoa. Last night, I took the cinnamon, the brownie flavor. Don't be like me. Just do it every night. I get it. Last night, I was like, I'm going to get this ready. I took 1 scoop, put it in water, and I set it out. And then when I was ready, I put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And I'm telling you, this stuff has everything: melatonin, magnesium, all natural, apigenin, reishi, all the natural stuff that they talk about. It tastes great. When my head hits the pillow, I'm out. I fall asleep. I wake up, 6-ish, whatever, and I'm ready to go. No grogginess, no nothing, because it's all natural. If you have problems falling asleep or staying asleep, and I literally can tell the difference when I miss this, then try Dreams Dream Powder. And if you go to shopbeam.com/Spicer, you can get up to 40% off. Like I said, all the flavors are good to me. Like, not just good, great. So pick the one that you like the most. Actually, I would pick both, or as many as you can, because you won't regret it. And you can get 40% off your first order. Go to shopbeam.com/Spicer for the first order that you do. All right, let's get to the road to 270. Let me get my trusty notes out here, because I took a bunch on each of these states. We have some updates for you. This is our last one, as you guys know. So let's do this. I'm going to run through the states like I do real quick, because I want to get to the battleground states and do it. So let's do it as we always do. We're going to start with the Kamala states. I'm going to start with our new states. Hawaii has 4. They go for her. Let's put them in for her. Washington 12, Oregon 8, California's 54 go to her. Now, this is going to surprise you, but I need to say, New Mexico has 5 electoral votes. Trump is going there tomorrow. These are 4 of the tier 2 states. Of them, I think New Mexico has yet to prove to me that it is gettable. Trump's going there. They see something. I'm fine. I'm going to keep this blue, though. And I know some people, look, I'd rather be wrong. Okay, because I think we get to 270 without, you're going to see in a second. The Real Clear Politics average has this at 7.7 for her. That's well outside the margin of error. Okay, I wanted it to be true. I know he's going there. It's part of what James Blair was saying yesterday. It's sort of like if they're in Arizona or Nevada, it's already there. Might as well just stop and make a play for it. I'm not there yet. So sorry if you disagree with me on this, but you'll see that I think we're good. So I don't need to go crazy. All right, let's move east as we have before. Minnesota has 10 electoral votes. We're going to put those into. But look, same thing like New Mexico. I will say this. I would rather, let's keep that light blue. Okay, it's not solid blue. New Mexico was 7.7, outside the margin of error. Real Clear Politics has this at 4.3. Now, here's the difference with Minnesota, and I wish Trump had gone up there instead of New Mexico, but I get logistically it's easier if you're already in that area to just hit New Mexico. Like if you're in Nevada, Arizona area, you hit New Mexico. But the Real Clear Politics average in Minnesota is 4.3, right? But you're not seeing a visit there. There's not a lot of staff there. There's no ads. So for that reason, I'm going to keep that light blue. but we'll keep an eye on it. We got 6 days to go. I'm not saying it can't happen, just so people in Minnesota, all you Gophers, don't get upset with me. I know he's unpopular. I know that I'd love to send a message to him. You heard James Blair yesterday. His dad's there. He'd love to send a message. I would too. But I'm just saying I'm not there yet because he's not visiting. There's not a big blitz ad-wise or staff-wise, so whatever. All right, let's go to the Northeast. Vermont has 3. Those are in Harris. New York has 28. Massachusetts, 11. Rhode Island's 4, Connecticut's 7. Now you'll notice I skipped New Hampshire. See, there's one of the changes. We'll get to that in a second. But let's move down to the Mid-Atlantic. New Jersey has 14. Those are still solidly there. Although I will say this, I could see New Jersey coming between 5 and 6 points on election night. I think there's enough people that are upset, working men and women. Anyway, I don't think we're going to win it. I think it could be a lot closer than people see. Do we get Delaware's 3? I believe we did. Maryland's got 10. Those are going in his case. You heard Andy Harris. He's from Maryland. He would have gotten excited if we thought we could, but he didn't because it's not going to happen. D.C. has 3 electoral votes. I will save you my D.C. speech. If you haven't heard it, go back and watch a previous Road to 270. The Democrats basically want to make D.C. a state only because they want the 2 Democratic senators from there. This is not about voting rights. I will get off my soapbox quick because today is got to go through that. But trust me when I say this, it's not about voting rights. There's an easy way to do this. It's not about that. They want 2 Democratic senators from D.C. All right. That's where we are now. Now, here's what I will tell you. The Harris campaign is coming to Virginia. The Trump campaign is rumored to be coming to Virginia. Something's going on here. We have a poll that shows Virginia at 2 points, okay? The last one, the Rasmussen Reports poll, 1,014 likely voters, margin of error 3, Harris 48, Trump 46. Here's the thing. Trump got 44 in 2020. He didn't do that much better in 2016. My point is he's getting about where he is, and Harris is the one that's teetering. Some polls are at 52, and they were at 54 last time. Some are at 48, but Trump's number is fairly consistent. It's her that's the issue. I say that because I'm going to put it at light blue. There's something going on here. I see so many people that I talk to in Virginia who keep telling me I'm not voting for her. I think the Youngkin, Mayeris, Winsome Sears trifecta win in our midterm was good news. But remember, it's a different universe that's voting. I would like to say it's a toss-up. I really want. I live here, guys. I was the last elector in 2004. You've heard me say this a million times. But I just we're not. I'd rather be wrong. If you wake up Wednesday and you go, Sean, Virginia won, I will be the first person to say I am so excited to be wrong. I'm gonna make it light blue though. Okay, I'm just saying that we're not there yet. And then this has been brought up. I said this last time. I want to go to Nebraska real quick. Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. It's Omaha. They call it the blue dot. It's solid blue. We're going to put Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. Now, I'm going to give you my Nebraska spiel now. But the bottom line is this. I have talked to Nebraska sources, people who are on the ground, who this has been their life, right? And I've gotten a bunch of emails, and people have asked me, what's the deal with Nebraska? So I spent a lot of time this week because people worried about a 269 tie, 269, or a 270, 268 scenario. Here's the deal. The bottom line is it's not going to happen. You heard James Blair yesterday talk about shifting dynamics. He's right. Deb Fischer is in a tough race right now. Dan Osborne is an independent. He's running ads tying himself to Trump. You'd think that's a good thing, right? It's this Omaha area, though. It's the bastion of, it's a liberal enclave. Don Bacon, very popular. He's running 8 points ahead of Trump in the 2nd congressional district. He's still probably down a point or 2, according to the people that I talk about. This is so tough right there that a guy like Don Bacon, who is well known to the people there, well liked by the people there, running a good campaign there, is still down. and he's running 8 points. So for the people who have asked me about Nebraska 2nd, I have spent a lot of time talking to a bunch of people who know that area very well. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I wish it was, because I get scared about the tie too. But now we got to win it bigger and in different places. So she gets that spot. That's where we go. Let's move on to Trump. We're going to do it the same way as we always do. Let's start with Alaska, because we started with Hawaii last time. So we're going to put the 3 seats in there. I talked to you before, by the way, God forbid it ever was a tie, which I don't think it can be now. We're going to flip that seat. Nick Bisich, who is running at large against Mary Peltola, he was on the show a few weeks back. Nick Bisich, I think, will win that seat. Flip Alaska. So if we ever ended up in a tie, we know Alaska would vote the way it is. So let's go north, northwest down. Montana's 4 electoral votes. They are still solid. Idaho's 4, solid. Wyoming's 3, solid red. Utah's 6, solid red. Now back up north and moving south. North and South Dakota both put their individual 3 electoral votes in the Trump column. Nebraska, we talked about. It has 5 electoral votes. We just said the 2nd congressional district will go for Kamala Harris. The 2 other congressional districts, the 2 at-large electoral votes for a total of 4, will go to Trump. That's 4 of Nebraska's 5 electoral votes will go his way. By the way, I screwed up. Let me go back 1 second. I missed Maine for her. I will do everything but the 2nd congressional district. We might as well just do Maine right now. Here's the deal with Maine. 2nd district is kind of the inverse of Nebraska. She will win the state. Trump will win the 2nd district. So the 2nd district will get shaded red, give him 1 electoral vote there. The rest of the state is blue for her. Okay. By the way, so she's at 193 right now. I think fairly solidly, except for we talked about Minnesota and Virginia, both potential. But I think, that's a decent number for her. All right, let's get back on the Trump map. 6 solid electoral votes from Kansas go in the Trump direction. 7 in the Oklahoma column go to Trump as well. And then we're going to go back up north and south. Iowa has 6 electoral votes for Trump. Missouri has 10 for Trump. Arkansas's 6 go for Trump. And Louisiana's 8 go for Trump. All right. Did I miss Texas? I did. Let's do Texas's 40 right there. And by the way, I also, God, what's going on? The last one, you think I'd have this down. Colorado's 10 go for Harris. My apologies. Solid blue there. Thank you. All right. So let's go back up and come down. Did we hit Iowa? So we do Iowa. We did that. So let's go back up and north. Let's start with Indiana. It's got 11. They go for Trump. Kentucky's got 8. They go for Trump. Tennessee's 11 go for Trump. Mississippi's 6 go for Trump. And Alabama's 9 go for Trump. Let's go back up and down. Ohio 17 are in the Trump column. J.D. Vance, great job there carrying Ohio. West Virginia's 4 go for Trump. That's also going to be the state that gives us at least 50-50. And I think with Montana, 51 in the Senate. And then we go from there. South Carolina's 9 and 30s. Florida's 30, all in the Trump column. We did Maine. So right now that puts Trump 219, the Democrats at 203. So I think that's fairly agreeable, right? I don't think there's many people. I'm sorry. I always forget that big one right in the middle for Illinois. Those 19 electoral votes go for her. So that puts the Democrats solidly at 222, her at 219. Let me just start with what I think is the real tier 2 state, right? Like I said, Virginia, I said Minnesota. New Hampshire, to me, I moved this light blue before, but now we have a poll showing Trump up. The difference between all these other states is it's not only is the trend moving in the Trump direction, but now it's over. He has a poll showing him winning there. I'm going to keep that a toss-up state. It's 4 electoral votes. We're going to make that an actual toss-up state because I think it's moving in this direction. It's one poll, so I don't want to get too cocky on this. But this is a trend, and Harris's team keeps sending people there. All right, so that's where that is. Let's move into the real battleground states. Arizona, 11 electoral votes. We've talked about the shift in registration there with Seth Kessel. He's going to be joining us next Monday, by the way, to give us the latest update on early vote and everything else that happened with registration in some of these battleground states. This is definitely good news for Trump. Let's go to the early data there. You'll see if we just do the returns and we click on Arizona, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Very, very good job in these early vote Arizona. It's amazing what has happened there. And then you look at the polling. The last time that we were there, Trump was up 1.8, right? We come back a week later to do the latest road to 270, and we're at a 2.2 lead. He is now 49.6 to 47.4. And again, that just shows you the momentum continues to move in the Trump direction. The early vote out of Arizona, and if we click on the link there for the early vote and go to Arizona, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it is really, really cool to see how they are keeping up. The Republican side is keeping up with that. So you look at this early vote data showing Republicans just nailing it there, and it is unbelievable. So I feel very good. I was out there, as I said, last week, and you're seeing it on the ground. The phone banks, the calls, the door knocking, it's all coming together for Trump. You know, that's why he was there doing rally. I think he's going to be back in the Tucson area if my reporting is accurate. They get it. They're moving well. And then, by the way, in this Senate race, Kari Lake had a poll that showed her tied. Then it showed her up one today. This thing is moving in Kari Lake's direction. You heard, was it, I think it was Robert Cahaly who said it's moving in her direction, and he thought that could be the surprise race of the night. I think he might be right. Again, look at the wave that has had her back. Pretty unbelievable. So let's move on to Georgia. You've got now, last time we talked about this, a 2.5 lead for Trump. By the way, so Arizona, just so we're clear, I'm putting solidly in the Trump column. I asked James Blair about this. I've asked everybody as you guys watch the show. People feel good about Georgia. Good about Arizona. So we're putting that in the Trump column. That gets him at 230 right now. So let's move on to Georgia. This time, it's about the same. I mean, literally, he's bumped up a little, but so has she. So his lead is about the same, 2.4. Solid early vote numbers coming out of Georgia. And the public polling there, you know, we've talked about this in the past. Look at this. I think the only reason that there might be any deviation is when they do these averages, some new ones take off the old ones. But look, the latest public polls, Atlas has him up 3, Trafalgar has him up 2. Then there was a tie. Then it was Trump up 2. American Greatest, TIPP, has him up 1. Trump up 2, Trump up 6, Trump up 4, Trump up 3, Trump up 1. There is not a single public poll after October 5th that shows her, that they have on the Real Clear Politics average, that shows her in the lead. Might not be a big win there, but he is going to win Georgia. So let's keep that solidly in the red case and move on to North Carolina, the Tar Heel state. Now, if you click on this link, and I'll show you again where it shows the early vote returns coming out of North Carolina. Solid news there. Trump this is one, I've said this from the beginning. I thought it was because of the storm. There might be some other issues there. This is very close. He's only up 0.4. He slid a little in the public polling. I think this is because of the poll that fell off and the poll that came on. Again, look at the public. So his Real Clear Politics average is Trump up 1. This is a slight bump from where he was last time. He was up 0.4 last time. But again, the Atlas poll shows her up by 1. But beyond that, it's Trump up 3, tie, Trump up 2, Trump up 2, Trump up 1, Trump up 1, tie, right? It's that one last one. Maybe it's an outlier, but again, it doesn't take much. But this is going to be tight. I think this is a light red. I feel good about North Carolina. But if you look at voting history, where it was in 2016 and in 2020, I mentioned this before, right? Jill Stein got 130,000 votes in 2016, and Trump won by 170,000 votes. That was definitely helpful, creating that spread between him and Hillary Clinton. When the Green Party didn't do well, when she wasn't on the ballot in 2020, the Green Party only got 12,000 votes. So 130,000 in 2016, 12,000 now. Trump barely won. He won by 74,000 votes, 1.3%. So this is one that still gives me a little bit of pause. So I will keep that light red. Let's move on to Nevada. I have become a convert in Nevada, my friends. The Republicans are crushing it in early voting, crushing it in both Clark County and in Washoe County. Washoe, Reno, Clark County down there where Las Vegas is. Trump right now at 0.5 a lead in the Real Clear Politics average, 48.3 to 47.8. I'm just telling you, this is one where I just think that when you look at the early vote numbers and you look at what is happening with registration in those key areas, Clark County is critical. If the Democrats don't have a wide enough lead, they're going to be in a problem. In the Senate race, we've talked about this before. Jackie Rosen still up outside the margin of error from Sam Brown, the Army captain. We had him on not too long ago. 4.7% lead there. I don't honestly. I just don't feel as good about the Senate race that I do on the other ones because of the trend. There's nothing that shows Sam Brown up. Look, he's a great guy, a great candidate, great message. She's been in office a while. She's got a ton of money and overwhelming him. But who knows? Maybe we'll see him come, pull this thing out. I hope so. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great candidate. I'd love to see him pull this thing out at the end. But Kari Lake right now trending in Arizona. That's you want that wind at your back. In Wisconsin, let's move over there. So Nevada, solid red for Trump, which, as you know, is a change for me. I wasn't as bullish on Nevada as some of these other states. That gets Trump too short. So here we are once again. Now, look, New Hampshire is the difference this time. This is going to be interesting because the 3 blue wall states, it's not just the 3 blue wall. He picks off New Hampshire. Are you hearing me, Trump campaign? If you take New Hampshire right now, it's decisive. You win 272. So that's why I'm saying this is a big change for me. Trump, go to New Hampshire. You could pull this off and win without this. But let's get back to Wisconsin. Trump right now slightly making progress there. 48.4 to 47.8, so a 0.6 lead. It's about where he was last time. The Republican data on the early vote, very, very, very encouraging. I'm just telling you, that's great. And by the way, I've been saying this about Eric Hovde. He was on the show a little while ago that it was moving in his direction. Once again, it's all that data moving in the Eric Hovde direction. In the last week, he has taken what was a Tammy Baldwin 2-point lead and got it down to a 0.4 lead. Eric Hovde, I think, will be a United States Senator next Congress. So we're putting Wisconsin in the red column for Trump. That would give him the presidency right now. But let's move on to Michigan real quick, because I think that this is going to be another one that's a Cinderella story. Right now, Harris has a 0.5 lead, but I'm telling you, the only reason she has a 0.5 lead is because I think one of the polls dropped off and a new poll came on. But right now, all these polls, Trump up 1, Trump up 1, Trump up 1, Harris up 5. That's the thing. One outlier poll from Susquehanna shows her up 5, and I think that's the difference, is that one poll helped her. But everything else looks good for Trump. Ashley Hayek from America First Works telling me about all the amazing work that they're doing there on the Get Out the Vote effort. I feel like this is definitely moving in his direction. I feel good about Michigan. I'll keep it light red for right now. And I will tell you that same thing's going on in that Senate race. I told you to keep an eye on Mike Rogers. He's moving this thing in the right direction. A lot of polls showing it a tie. So I feel good about that. Now, as we always do, let's end with the big prize. Pennsylvania is where this thing is all going to come down to. Right now, Trump with an edge, 0.6. Keep in mind, every state except for Michigan, which I think is an outlier because of that one thing, shows Trump at least winning. Every one of them. And again, in Michigan, it's because of that one outlier poll. So this is a much better place for Trump than Harris to be. Trump right now up 0.6 in Pennsylvania, 48.1 to 47.5. Guys, early votes in Pennsylvania show Republicans doing much, much better than they did in 2020. This is great. Allegheny County, same thing. Out there west, a big hold for the Democrats. They did very well. A lot of people like to talk about Philadelphia. Look at Allegheny County last time. Now, maybe it was Joe Biden, but they really came in big for the Democratic ticket out west in Allegheny County. That performance combined with how well Republicans are doing in early vote tells me that Republicans are moving in the right direction when it comes to the early vote. And I'm just telling you, I feel very, very bullish on Pennsylvania. Republicans were down on election night because of the early vote by about 1.3 million votes. They've got that gap so tight right now. I'm just telling you, Republicans are in a great place in Pennsylvania. They are showing up and they're not cannibalizing the election day voters the way that the Democrats would like you to believe. So this is moving in the right direction. The Senate race there, Bob Casey to Dave McCormick. Unbelievable closing ads from Dave McCormick. It is now down to a 1-point race. There are some polls showing it tied, some showing McCormick up. Again, wind at his back at the exact right time, 6 days out. I'm telling you guys, look at these polls for Trump in Pennsylvania. Trump up 3 from Atlas. Trump up 1, Insider Advantage. Tie, Emerson, Trump up. You have to go back to October 16th to find Harris up by 2. And then right after that, Trafalgar has him up 3. This is moving in the right direction for Donald Trump. Pennsylvania is going red. Here's the thing. The big question for me is how much more than 300 electoral votes does Donald Trump win? I believe, put the 19 in Trump's column, right? Look at where Trump ends up right now. He is at 312. If New Hampshire were to go his way, 316. I would say that Trump goes between 306 and 316. That's where we are now. It doesn't mean that's where we're going to end up. And that's why my point to you is keep your foot on the pedal, keep this going. But election night will be huge for Donald Trump if we can continue this trend. Do not let up. Get out there. Put those yard signs up. Knock on the doors. Make the phone calls. Run strong through the finish line. We need to put this over the top decisively so that we know on election night or election day morning that Donald Trump is going to win. I don't mind waiting until 2 a.m., but I want a solid win. So now it's up to us to do our part. As I mentioned, we are going to be up all night on election night. It's going to be huge. We are going all night long. This is your place to be. Tomorrow, a great panel and a very special guest joining us on Friday's show. You're not going to want to miss it. Hit subscribe now. Also, tune in tomorrow on the morning meeting to get the latest updates and subscribe to my free newsletter, SeanSpicer.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.